Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Good evening, and welcome back to Computerized Start Live! I am your host, Justin D. Morgan, and right off the bat, I have to admit, YouTube chat might be broken. So please don't bring out your pitchforks. At least not to me, because could be Google's problem. Could be OBS. Could be Comcast. Could be random neutrinos. But apparently there's at least one chat message I don't see in my view. So, don't know why. I'll say hi to that person anyways, because the chat is letting me know who it is, so I will say hi to them regardless. And who do we have? We have Kibbs with Retro. Hi, Kibbs. We have Sadmac. Hi, Sadmac. We have Francois. Hello. We have 2K Compliant. Welcome. We have Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack. Greetings. We have I8386SX. Hi, Jesse. And yes, Kibbs will probably show up later. And we have Thomas Armstrong. Yeep. Alright. Have the Ko-fi goal. Links in the description. And I have the computer. Oh. Okay, well, I have fooled myself twice, so I'll have to go through the, there's a, YouTubers can't point. There is a box right behind me that I'm going to have to go through at some point tonight, sooner rather than later. It's behind a HP workstation, which is behind a Packard Bell, but yeah, you see that box? It's underneath a LC lid. Yeah, that box right there. I'll have to go into that box. Because I just realized I've used one of my CX5Ms for parts, because I bought it as a parts computer. Actually, a lot of the ones I bought as parts computers. Jesse says, oh no, more DVDs. Hopefully not. I sure hope what's in that box didn't turn into DVDs, or I will be sad. Because the two CX5Ms that I have out of the box, neither of them have the sound module I need to do the mod. And why is that? Well, let's go take a look at what I have on the table. Which, luckily, I did get the table cleaned off decently well. Jeremy says, I would go to VCF East, but I need a new roof and a new bathtub. Ugh. That sounds interesting. Alright, so I have a Yamaha CX5M right here. It's in a few pieces. I feel like this is kind of maybe jumping straight to the point. Jumping straight to the end of the live stream. Jesse says, I have tickets to ZZ Top that weekend. Well, if it's a ZZ Top concert in Wall Township, New Jersey, A, I have no idea where the convention center is that would hold that concert, and B, swing by VCF East while you're there. But I suspect it's probably a locale a bit closer to you. Yeah, I feel like I've jumped to the end of the live stream, because not only is this a part CX5M, but this is actually the newer version of the sound module. So, well, I really don't have an aside at the moment to set this on. I'll make an aside. Alright. Hi, Rudy, welcome! It's in Green Bay. Okay, well, that would be a bit far to swing by VCF East on the way there, then. Okay, I don't know why this made a weird noise when I swung it over on my bench. So, what is the Yamaha CX5M music computer? Well, first off, I will have to move it because my head was in the way. The Yamaha CX5M is an MSX computer. For those of you in the US or Canada, if your first question is, what is MSX? Then I can't blame you. I went a long time without knowing what what MSX was myself. Because that's how many MSX computers were sold in the US. Not many. But MSX was a standard devised by Microsoft and ASCII Corporation, which, if you're wondering who ASCII Corporation is, well, that would be Microsoft's Japanese subsidiary. And the summary would be one of Microsoft's last gasps to license BASIC. Would probably be a good way to sum it up. Jesse says MSX is a radio station on Grand Theft Auto 3. I wonder if the developer that put that joke in, if they used a CX5M music computer. 2K Compliance says, if Naboo was made for Japan, this is what it would look like. Yes, potentially, other than there's no built-in cable modem. But, oh, hi, Ian Scott. Ian Scott says, Heart MSX. Yes. So, let's take a quick look at the quirks and features. Starting off with, it does have a built-in power cord, which is kind of annoying. But I will give them that. It is a 3-pronged power cord. So that's nice. It has a ground. It has a monitor output, which is composite on the MSX1 computers. Later MSX standards did include component output, but this one does not do component output. And speaking of that, yes, I do know there is an FPGA upgrade that you can put in computers that use the TMS 9918 video chip, like this one. It'll give you HDMI out. I am on the list, the interested parties list. Component shortages have really done a number to that project, and I'm not holding my breath they'll ever get to my name. We have a cassette port, because, of course, for a standard to try to rule the world, for people that don't want to pay for a disk drive, we need a cassette port. We have the world's weirdest printer port, and yes, that is a Centronic-style connector on the computer. It is parallel, I believe. I think once you take out the unnecessary pins, that's all the pins you need. We have basically what would be a user port. We have 2 joystick ports. I do not know what standard of joystick they use. That may be very common to other computers. And we have the power switch on this side, plus the slot where the music cartridge would go in this computer. Oh, and we have a spider. Well, let me debug the computer. I'm going to try to very carefully set my friend spider, which I believe is a Granddaddy Longlegs, over to the side, because I don't mind Granddaddy Longlegs spiders. There, he is safely over to the side where he will not be hurt. Assuming he doesn't crawl off to somewhere out of the way himself, I'll move him later. But we have the cartridge slot where the music cartridge would go. There was also like a weird typewriter cartridge available for this computer. But we have a redaction needed. I forgot there is I bought this from someone who got it from a Mr. Drew in Stockton, California. I do not know if they still live there. But okay, now that I have redacted the address, I can finish reading Jeremy's comment. Jeremy says, "Congratulations, you found something to work on that I know little to nothing about, law, i.e., I won't be correcting anything in the stream." Jesse says, "No backseat commentary tonight." Yeah, I'm just waiting for, okay, I just realized something else. I might have to, okay, because I'm not sure where my gaffer tape went. I tried to use painter's tape, and I just realized that, there we go. That's better. 2 layers of tape. Also, for some reason, there's the date 2394 on this computer. So, this computer is at least 30 years old. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear CMX5M. Happy birthday to you. There's also Unit A. This computer was not on the market in 94, so this is probably when the person who I've had to put 2 pieces of tape over top their address label to make sure it's not visible, probably when they got the computer in 94, which would have been really late. I don't know if it was missing the music cartridge when I got it or if I removed it to put it in something else. But anyways, this is the CX5MU, which U would be for US. So this was for the US market, and it is serial number 2227. Lovely. And, well, I pulled the cartridge out. But anyways, so that's the cartridge slot. So, what is inside of this computer? Well, I'm going to set it aside, and we'll pull our friend, the parts one, over. And we'll quickly walk through what is in a music computer. A lot of this will be the same for an MSX1 computer. So what makes an MSX computer an MSX computer? Oh no. Well, this is definitely a parts board because sadly the clock board has snapped in half. Ugh. Okay. That is a very awkward attachment. Yes, that is a slot cut into the board to slide the other PCB down into, and it's soldered on the edges. I mean, it's probably repairable, but man, that is an awful design. Didn't even bother to put pin headers. Hi, Adam. Welcome. Jeremy says, on that day, I had just celebrated my 14th birthday at Showbiz Pizza with my dad and my brother. Ah! And Jeremy says, 'tis a flesh wound. All right, so what makes an MSX computer an MSX? Well, let me get my official pointer thing here. Well, the biggest deal is it has a Z80 processor clocked at, I believe, 4 megahertz. And it has a TMS 9918 graphics chip for the US market. If this was a PAL market computer, it would have the TMS 9928 in it. This particular unit might be able to take either, but I suspect there's probably some things that have to be changed around. Because I think the 9928, but it does things differently. It's not like a direct pin swap. I believe this is just a ROM here. We have, in this case, 16K of... No, actually, I think that's 64K of RAM for system RAM. And then I think the video RAM is, I believe, here. Because that's going to be... Actually, it's probably these 8 chips. Because these are probably 16K by 1. So there's 16K of video RAM. And then 64K of system RAM. We have a Yamaha YM2149 sound chip for the base MSX sound. So all MSX computers will have that sound chip. I think that's very similar to one of the General Instrument sound chips. And then I believe these are like some custom logic chips. I think one of these is like the MSX mapper and whatnot. The keyboard plugs into this weird board. But anyways, yeah, very simple 8-bit computer. There's the edge connector for expansion that the music cartridge would plug into. A rather cheap board. Adam wants to know, all I need to know is if this thing can play Zaxxon. I believe there is an MSX version of Zaxxon. I would have to go look. Now, the thing that made a music computer is this board here, plus the library of cartridges. But this is the synthesizer module for the music computer. This one is the SFG05, which is the second version. And I realized that it is upside down. There we go. So this has the... Alright, I'm trying to remember which is the synthesizer chip. I think it's the YM2164. It might be the YM2148. One of these is a synthesizer chip. It's like an 8-voice... Like a 4-channel 8-voice synthesizer. I think it's a lot like one of the ones that's in one of the, like, Yamaha keyboards. And then some logic chips. This is the ROM that has the music software in it. Ports. We got MIDI. One of these is MIDI in, one's MIDI out. We have the connector for the proprietary keyboard. And stereo audio out for the synthesizer. Jeremy says, there's a surprise. A Yamaha chip and a Yamaha computer. Yeah. Jeremy says, YM2164 is OPL2 question mark. Actually, I was thinking it was not OPL. It is not. It is not an OPL chip. It is an OPP chip. So they had the I'm trying to look up the heritage here really quick. Oh, come on. Because they had a number of sound chips before the OPL. So we had so first was the YM2151, which was known as the OPM for FM operator type M. And then the 2164 is the OPP, FM operator type P, which is an enhanced version of the 2151. The OPL2 is the YM3812, and the OPL3 is the YMF 262. So the OPL is going to be the FM operator type L. So I think you'll find that the OPL chip, probably its lineage started sometime between some of these chips. But this is going to be the it's going to probably sound a lot like the OPL's FM synthesis because I think it has many of the same operators. I was going to actually look up what its capabilities were, but I closed the page, of course. So this one has 8 concurrent FM synthesis channels or voices, 4 operators per channel, and 8 options for routing those 4 operators to perform FM synthesis or a simple additive synthesis, a couple other features. So yeah, it's probably going to sound a lot like some of the OPL features. So yeah. Yamaha made a lot of synthesizer chips. Some of them. So this is the 2164. I believe the sound chip that's in the SFG01 is actually the YM2151, the predecessor of this chip. But anyways, yeah, Yamaha has made a lot of synthesizer chips. It's hard to keep track of them all. All right, good night, Francois. But yeah, so this module here being the second revision of the module, you can actually use the MIDI in to enter notes into the music software. And I think you can even use the MIDI in to like play the synthesizer somehow. And the reason I say that is because, give me one moment to walk over to the shelf. I think I have it not like underneath too much. All right, it is behind the Mad Dog box. There we go. All right. Oh, okay. Come on. There we go. Something I rediscovered today is that this module is actually the basis, more or less, for this black box that I just pulled off the shelf. So this is a Yamaha FB01. And you will probably notice that it does have MIDI in, out, and through. It's got audio out, stereo. But yes, this is, much like some of the other famous MIDI synthesizers, this is the Yamaha FB01 FM sound generator. And yeah, you could totally plug this into a sound card and get MIDI sound through it. Although, this is not general MIDI compatible, so the notes on this do not line up with the general MIDI note. So while it would totally play something if you told a program to send MIDI out to your MIDI out, it's not going to sound right because not all the instruments would line up. But it could be fun. Someday I'll do it. Probably. Now, of course, I think I pulled the one off the shelf that's the one I haven't had open yet. So, one of these days, I will actually probably do a stream to refurbish. I think this is the one that needs refurbished. And I'm going to open it up real quick because this is like a neat aside because it is related to the CX5M. Rudy says 2227 bingo. Wait. Did I miss the fact that this one has a similar serial number? Oh, no. Serial 19132. Yamaha made just a few more of these. But I believe this is the one I haven't refurbished yet. If anything, I need to replace the battery in it. Don't worry, it's not one of those darn Varta batteries. So I'm not as concerned about it leaking. It's actually a coin cell battery that's soldered, but... Oh, hey, Gut Bomb! Or, Gut Bomb says he's catching up live watching in 2X. I could really mess with Gut Bomb. Hey, Gut Bomb, how you doing? I'm talking really fast to see how it sounds in 2X speed. I bet it's really, really fast. I bet it sounds really like the Micro Machines man. Yeah, once you get to this part, you might be caught up to real time. Or maybe not. Yeah. Yeah, we'll probably know when Gut Bomb catches that, because he'll probably throw something in some laughing in the chat. Alright. I don't quite remember how you get this top off. I don't think Yamaha ever intended for these to ever be opened, because they were probably like, who's going to be using this when the battery dies? Oh yeah, this is the one I haven't replaced the battery in, so... Now, the cool thing is, though... Adam McGee says, do all the streams like that. There we go. Yeah, there's like metal hooks that hook in. I think they really intended for you to remove the faceplate first. But anyways, so this is a Yamaha FB01. And it does have a coin cell battery, which there is battery-backed memory. Luckily, the contents that you need to program into this to reprogram it are backed up online. Jeremy says, I can imitate an auctioneer. Yeah. But anyways, you might notice if we take a look at the chips on this board, we do have there we go, there's the Yamaha YM2164. Just like our module here. And we've got, there is some RAM on this board. And ROM. And we've got a NEC. I think this is actually I want to say this is a processor. And while it's not overtly marked as a Z80 processor, I quite honestly would not be surprised if someone figured out that was a Z80 or something close. Because, I mean, it's not an obvious slam dunk, yeah, this is related to this, but anyways, it is a neat aside that there's more in common with these than might first meet the eye. But anyways, one of these days I am going to we'll open one of these up and refurbish it and try it out. I don't know if it'll be it might be a scripted video, it might be a live stream, it might be both. But anyways, we'll take a look at the Yamaha FB01. So, but I just thought that was a neat aside because I ran into that fact. So anyways, we'll put the FB01 back together here real quick. And then I will go, because I'm going to have to go to the box of, I believe, well, my box of, Steve may have more image writers, but you'll probably get chance to figure out how many CX5M computers I bought that were, quote, for parts. And a lot of them just worked. So, hi, Dave. Welcome. Yep. Yep, got to my fast talking. Arg. Okay. I don't think I got the screw. The Oh, I don't have the panel lined up quite right. That's why the screw's not going in. Oh, no. I don't have it lined up at all. Alright, I think what I'll do is... Actually, I think I'm going to do the next best thing here. Put the screws in a bag and, deal with it later. There we go. Anyways, yes, the FB01. It's a Yamaha synthesizer that has a lot in common with the music computer. Also goes to show Yamaha's made a lot of synthesizer products. Alright, now it is time for probably what everyone's wondering now. How many MSX computers do I actually have? I bought a number that were 4 parts. And they ended up just working. And then I'd find more for parts. And they'd end up working. And I'd find more for parts. And I'd be like, well, I would kind of like a part computer or two. Just so that if I do need parts, I don't feel bad for taking apart a working one. So I was actually kind of relieved to see that Tom Barber got the one I was watching on eBay before I could buy it. I totally had it on my watch list. And actually, I had one more of these, but I sent it to Joe. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 in here. Okay, some of them actually are in parts condition. So, alright, that one is missing a key on the, missing 2 keys on the keyboard. But it's also missing its synthesizer cartridge. Alright. Okay, this one has an 01 cartridge. Alright, I need to make sure I still have at least one more 01 cartridge by the time I'm done. Otherwise, I'm actually not doing the mod. Somewhere I think I've got a cartridge that I pulled out of one of these. Okay, so that one's got... Alright, so that one's got an 01 cartridge in it. Something over on the shelf that I will okay. It's not as bad as I thought. Okay, and last but not least, this one is the 05. Okay. And honestly, I think I might have another of these somewhere. Oh, Gutbomb says it sounds like I'm drinking now that being played at normal speed. So, how do you tell if you have an 01 or an 05 revision of the music cartridge? And Gutbomb says, first I got coffee Justin, and now I have too much craft beer Justin. Oh. Okay. So, if you are looking at photos on eBay, the place where I buy things I later regret, if the cartridge is installed in the computer, this is the side you're going to see. If you see a label that looks like this, it's going to be an SFG01 sound module. If you see a label like this, well, it's an SFG05. They put the part number on the bottom. The other way you can tell if the module has been removed from the computer which, despite the fact that it looks like it can take a Phillips, I think you really do need to use a flat blade screwdriver to remove it. Oh, that one's not going to work. All right. I gotta find my... There we go. Big screwdriver. It almost looks like a hard drive, but it is most certainly not a hard drive. I don't even believe there was a hard drive accessory for the MSX computer. There was a floppy drive option. And it was a 3.5-inch disc, although it was 720K. I believe that is the only size floppy disks that MSX ever had, because, well, it didn't exactly take off like hotcakes. Alright. Now, if you are looking at the top of the module, so the SFG01 is usually just marked very generically, because I don't think they sold it separately, so they never had any reason to put a fancy label on it. The SFG05 was sold separately as an upgrade option. So while I can't say for sure that you're always going to see a label like this on it, I believe I'm not for sure, but I think they all looked like this. Oh, hi, Tom Barber. Welcome. I'm blaming you for tonight's stream. So anyways, so if you got one that looks like this on the top, it's an SFG01, SFG05, and then on the bottom, SFG01, SFG05. Jesse says even 720K discs are becoming precious. Yes, they are. Alright, I will also have to say these cartridges are a bit annoying to reassemble. Also, if you are a keyboard aficionado, you don't want an MSX computer. You don't. No one bought MSX computers for the keyboards because they were cheap as all get out. And Adam says, I take 720K discs and reformat them as 800K for the good computers. Alright, so I believe to take these apart, Gutbomb says, unless you buy a Naboo, kind of an MSX with a great keyboard. Yes, but MSX as shipped, none of the MSX computers had a great keyboard because they were all cost reduced, as far as I know. I don't think any of them were mechanical keyboards. The Yamaha keyboards are rather fragile because I think they're actually like membrane. Luckily, I think I got a spare keyboard to try to fix the one that's got the busted key on it. Now, I did allude in my description that I might have a Yamaha CX5M2, and yes, I do. It's got one broken key. Luckily, I've got the key cap. The stem is broken. It may be difficult to repair, but luckily I think it's like a less than important key. Adam says Naboo keyboards are a great source for repairing Apple IIs. Yeah, probably more so when they were available for cheap than now, because now they're more expensive, although they may still be your best bet. All right, and oh, this is weird. We have a bodge wire. Ooh, I love bodge wires. So, we have this is the SFG01, and there's the YM2151 sound chip. And then here's the CX5M2 with the 2164 chip and a larger ROM. In fact, that is a 27C256. This is going to be probably a 27C128 equivalent. So, the way you upgrade this to equivalently this is you replace the ROM and you have to add an address line from the header or someplace else on the board where the address line is to the ROM, because this ROM A14 is not mapped to this ROM, but we need A14 because this ROM is going to have address line A14. I believe that is what we need to do. I did some research. Unfortunately, the site that had the really good instructions is no longer online, but I think I found a Vogons forum that post that pretty much said what we need to do. The thing is, if I could find the better instructions, I think there was a good place they recommended to tap the A14 address signal. But I'll have to pull up the pinout of the header here. Of course, I mean, I could cheat and just put this module in the old case, but Gutbomb says, I've never played with a real MSX, but I've explored one quite a bit on my Mr. FPGA, and they are really cool machines. Metal Gear for the MSX2 is one of my favorite games of all time. MSX2 exclusive sequel is also excellent. Yes. All right. We're not going to cheat, though. We are going to mod this to make it that. Using bubblegum and duct tape. Just kidding. Adam says, I just want Zaxxon. Well, for that, Adam, I might recommend just a Mr. FPGA. All right. You know, I believe this board is conformally coded. Hopefully that doesn't pose any problems with desoldering this ROM. Hopefully that's not foreshadowing. All right. Alright, let me pull up the instructions on my phone. I've got the Vogons forum post here. Oh, I think it's the no, maybe it's not Vogons. Oh. Okay, I thought I had it open. Oh, please? Oh, well, I probably know. I know what happened. I probably do have it open, but it's not one of the newer tabs. Because I probably had it open a long time ago, and... Alright, let's see here. Okay, so according to the msx.org forum, we've got to upgrade the ROM from 16K to 32K. And we got to run a wire to get the A14 address line working from the EEPROM to the cartridge port. Now, we do have to use a patched ROM. Because the sound chip is different. Alright. Alright. So the forum is recommending to just cut the pins on the ROM. Fortunately, I'm trying to find a picture, but... Oh, here we go. Ah, here we go. Okay. Alright, I've got a picture. We can do this. So, we have to connect, according to the forum post. It looks like it is... Is it that pin? I think it's this pin right here. Because there's no trace going to it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go. It is that pin right there. So we need to connect this pin here. Because that's going to be address line A14. And the picture I'm looking at, actually, they dremeled a notch here in their board. But I think I'm going to try to maybe do it a little bit better than that. But we got to run it to pin 27 on the EEPROM. But what we'll need to do is not solder pin 27 to the board, because I can clearly see that pin 27, but you can't because I'm not zoomed in far enough. Pin 27 is grounded on this board, but we actually need to connect it to address line A14. So I will probably, I think the easiest way to do this is to desolder this chip. And I'll just go ahead and cut the legs, because I don't really need to keep this EEPROM. I'll just program a new one if I ever wanted to go back to the functionality. I'll put a socket in the board, and then I'll program the new EEPROM, and I'll bend the leg out and solder the jumper wire to the pin on the EEPROM. That way, I think this should still fit if I do that. And then that will be the test to see, does this actually work? So, without further ado, well, I guess there's nothing to it but to do it. Other than I did want to make sure I'm recording footage on the camcorder here, so I could do a video. All right. I don't know. Maybe I should record it in OBS too, just in case something interesting happens. All right. I'm pretty sure this will garner some disgust online, but sometimes the safest way to desolder a chip from the board is to cut the legs and then remove the pins. Also, I would say the SFG01 module is not really rare. Because I think that's what most of these would have shipped with. Yes, it's called channel engagement. All right, so now that I have cut the pins, all right, I'm going to warm up soldering and desoldering, and then realize I need to turn the, there we go, smart outlets on. Besides, these are way more useful with the upgrade, because if you want to talk about what is actually somewhat hard to find, it's the proprietary keyboard needed to use the SFG01. That is the harder thing to find. Now, I do know Tom mentioned his friend is working on a board to let you use a more standard keyboard with the proprietary input. But if you don't have one of those, but you'd still like to use the music software, then you're going to have to consider doing something like this to be able to use the SFG01. So, all right. Good night, Rudy. Now, do I have the keyboard to be able to use this module? Yes, I have. Oh, I guess I don't have one up there. I've got at least one. I know I sent one of the keyboards to Joe. Or I'm pretty sure I sent Joe one of the keyboards. Those I don't have as many keyboards as the computers, because the keyboards go for a little bit when they do show up. I think I managed to find, I think one of my keyboards I found because whoever was selling it didn't know what it went to. So they were, I think I found it because it was, they'd put the Yamaha part number of the keyboard, but they didn't put CX5M in it, the description or the title, because they didn't know it went to that computer. So I was able to get one of them that way because I had a saved search for the part number of the keyboard. Now, for the record, I think they still were charging. They still were charging somewhat of a high price, although maybe not as high as they could have if they had put CX5M in the description. So it's not like I bought a keyboard from someone for like dirt cheap. But they certainly could have probably made a little bit more had they figured out what the keyboard went to and put those terms in their search. Also, I think I've got I think both of my keyboards are upstairs. I think I have two of them. One of them is actually, I have yet to take it out of the box that it was shipped in. So, I don't know. It might appear on Wheel of Regrets at some point, or I might just, or I might look to see what I paid for it, and, Oh, hi, Eric, welcome. I might see what I paid for that keyboard and see if Tom might be interested in, like, buying it for... Assuming I paid a reasonable price for it. See if Tom might want to just buy it from me for what I paid for it. If I paid an unreasonable price, I'll probably just hold on to it. Tom's like, oh great, Justin's trying to pawn his regrets off on me. Of course, then again, if he does this mod, then he won't need to buy that proprietary keyboard. Tom's probably now like, yes, I like that suggestion even better. Okay, I know I've got another tube of flux somewhere. I'm trying to find the flux because... Oh, there it is. It's right in front of me. Alright. Adam says, I just bought a MacBook for $3 plus shipping. Tom Barber says, I'll take your regrets and turn them into my own. Well, if it'd be something you'd be interested in, Tom, I'll see what I paid for it. And yes, I might actually open the box just to, like, make sure that it's not, like, shipping damaged. But I think the seller did at least package it somewhat decently. Alright. Alright. There we go. Alright. New tube of flux. Because I think the old tube of flux is like... I don't think there's any left in it, practically. Oh, wait. Oh, look at that. Maybe there is enough to get... Oh, wait. There might be enough to remove this chip here. Alright, Tom Barber says, yeah, you know where to find me. Keep me posted when you take a look. Okay. Because there was one time when I had this crazy idea to do crazy things with these music computers. And then I think common sense prevailed. Besides, I think I got enough of the SFG05 modules that for the crazy things I was going to do, I can just use MIDI keyboards. So I don't need a whole bunch of the proprietary keyboards. Also, for the record, I think Steve has more image writers than I have music computers, so... You know, I don't know why I'm trying to... Ugh. I don't know why I'm trying to remove the pins from this side. I think it was probably because in the back of my mind I had noticed that this board looked conformally coded, so... Let me try removing the pins from the back side of the board. Got Bomb's asking Tom if he wants to buy his Guitar Hero guitar. Actually, this solder is coming out quite nicely. Tom says, I'm not a true Guitar Hero. Tom says, I like that I'm like, yeah, I found this weird semi-obscure computer, and Justin shows up and is like, I have 30 of them and have knowledge of them. Well, I think I only have like 7 of them. Although some of them are not complete from what I can tell. Because it looks like I did buy two of them that don't have sound modules. One of them has a broken keyboard. Well, and my Model 2 has a broken keyboard, but I think it's just the keystem broke. Now, the CX5M2 that I have is not the U version. Folks are probably now wondering, oh, which version is it? I think it's the C version, if I'm not mistaken. C for Canada? Yeah, I actually bought it from a Canadian seller. It's the Canadian version of the 2. Now, the CX5M2, if you see one, those don't show up very often. And if you ever see a Yamaha C1 computer, well, hopefully, if the seller knows what they have, they're probably going to be asking a lot. Because Yamaha made a 286 computer that was a music computer, and it had like 40 bazillion MIDI ports on it. Well, not quite that many, but it was more designed for controlling MIDI equipment, like perhaps their keyboards. The Yamaha CX5M music computer, one of its purposes was for programming their keyboards. And while I don't have a DX7 keyboard, I think I have one of the cartridges I have is the DX7 programming software. So you can like totally create FM voices, you can create voices and send them to your DX7 keyboard with that software. So while the other MSX computer that was sold in the US didn't do very well, I think it'd be the SpectraVidya SVI 728. The Yamaha music computer actually did fairly well because it could program the Yamaha's keyboards and other devices. I think they had software to program one of their like MIDI drum things. I think the DX9 keyboard also had programming software. In fact, actually, there is a cartridge for programming the FB01 synthesizer. Now, the cool thing is, I have a number of the actual cartridges, but I think all the ROMs have been archived, for at least the Yamaha cartridges. There are a few that are more obscure. Oh, hey, 1-Bit. Welcome. Yes, it really helps to know how to play an instrument to get good at Guitar Hero and other games like that. Yeah. Cupom says I can kind of play guitar, but suck at Guitar Hero. All right, this is okay. Let me try a slightly different tactic here. The wick was going good on some of these pins, but or at least I thought it was going good on some of the pins, but then I think I realized how fragile the solder mask on this board seems to be, so yeah, I thought the board was conformally coated, but I think maybe it's just whatever solder mask they used, and I don't think it's a very good one. That would have been weird for them to have conformally coated something like this. It's usually used for, like, boards that are going to be in salty environments, and while some musicians' music might be considered salty, I don't think that's exactly the use case for conformal coating. Sadmax says, I know enough guitar to annoy music store employees. Ian Scott says it's to protect against musician sweat. Okay, good point. I think maybe they would have made the keyboard a little better then, though, but hey, Vborg, welcome! Oh, alright. Let me just make sure I'm removing. Alright. Alright. Got the one row out. There we go. I think I got all the pins out. Save one. Yeah, I got one more still in. And that's because it's one of the two pins in a ground plane. Alright, well. Alright, there we go. I got the pins out. Now let's clean the flux off and check for collateral damage. Alright. I think I did have a little bit of solder mask. Ian says, I'm going to name my new gun Claris. Oh. Well, little do you know, Ian. There's my Moo gun, and it is Claris. Yay! Vborg ordered his VCF East badge. Yay! Vborg said, I played a fusion of jazz and funk. It was called Junk. Ah! Clever. Clever. Yeah, I guess people have been talking about what they played. I did play trumpet in middle school for 2 years. And then high school came around, and I didn't want to do marching band. But I did indicate the desire. I did not mind doing the concert band, but my high school was such that, with few exceptions, you had to do the marching band to do the concert band, and being a trumpet player did not qualify for one of those exceptions, so, oh well. Alright, later, Vborg. Eric says I played hooky. Haha. Alright. So, I'll go ahead and put the socket on and... Well, actually, it looks like I did get some of the solder mask right under where the socket's going to go, so I guess I should probably... check continuity, make sure that's just solder mask. Put a little dab of solder mask on it and fix that, and then put the socket on, and then I can get the spots that are not under the socket. I'll do it that way. That way, if I make a mistake, I don't have to try to remove more solder mask than necessary. Alright, so this pin goes to that via. Yep, I still have a connection, so I didn't do anything there. Okay, that's a ground plane. That's a ground plane there, so I don't have to worry about that, because it's not connected to that pin. Yep, alright. So, this trace here... I don't know where it's going, but I'm pretty sure that's just solder mask. Alright, let me check the underside of the board real quick. Yeah, I think that's all just solder mask damage. Yeah. Okay, we're good. It's just solder mask damage. There's no traces broken. Alright, so let me get, though, that little itty-bitty bit there. Or actually, you know, I could almost just... Actually, let me do it this way. Let me put a little flux there, and because the traces are so wide on this board, let me just fix that with solder instead of solder mask. So I'll just use a little bit of the... Oh, for some reason that didn't work that didn't work as well as it does for Necroware. Alright. There we go. I think that got it. Alright. There. Now I don't have to wait for solder mask to cure. Yep. And that's the one nice thing about these old 8-bit computers. The traces are far enough apart. There. I didn't have to wait for solder mask, and I don't have to worry about that shorting. Yeah, let's see here. Actually, I want to pick up the trumpet again because I'd actually before COVID started to take trumpet lessons, but then COVID hit and the place I was taking them at stopped giving lessons. And then I got busy again and don't really have the time to take lessons now. But I kind of would like to pick them back up at some point. It's kind of fun. Or maybe I might decide to try something different than keyboard lessons. That's a possibility too. Alright, let me find my sockets because, of course, I didn't think to find the sockets before the stream. Alright, please continue to hold while I try to find the 28 pin sockets that I know I have around here somewhere. I've got EPROMs. Okay, I know I have sockets because. Oh, wait, those might be 24 pin sockets. Oh. Well, I might have just found another part that I need to add to my parts list. So I'll take this opportunity while I'm searching for parts to remind you that I do have a coffee. Link is in the description, and that, well, it'll probably go towards ordering some parts. Because well, I did book the room for VCF East already, so I ended up spending money. I had to pay them for the first night when I booked, so even though the goal says book the room, in reality, I'm going to put it towards what I would have done had I not booked the room, and that would have been to order parts. Alright, I'm pretty sure I have 28 pin sockets. I just apparently did not. Oh, alright, well I just demonstrated to myself that despite my efforts of trying to put all the sockets that I had into the same box, I have just confirmed that that is not the case because I found sockets in a box that is not the common box. Alright. Alright, I apologize for the delay, but I thought I had 28 10 seconds, but they're not what I thought they were. Alright. Okay, while I take a moment to ponder where I might have seen them, well, after I look in this box. This box that actually has the oscillator sockets in it that I was looking for a month or two ago when I repaired a video card. I'll catch up on chat here. Eric Edge says, my kids' bands were all voluntary, including marching. They had 250 in marching band alone. Now, my high school's marching band was voluntary. I mean, you had to sign up to do it. But I guess either as a way to make sure they had enough people in marching band or whatever, the preference was that for concert band, preference went to marching band members first. I think the exceptions were the instruments that were in the concert band that are not marching band instruments, i.e. your very large, unmarchable instruments, such as like pianos, synthesizers, oboe, etc., etc. I think those are the ones that you could be in just the concert band and not marching band if you played one of those instruments. But trumpet was definitely a marchable instrument, so, and they had enough trumpet players. So pretty much, yeah, if you were a trumpet player, you pretty much had to do marching band to do concert band, and I didn't want to do marching band, so. One bit says, I played violin between ages 21 to 25. Cool. Yeah, really hard to push through with life coming at you and career starting, and agreed. Eric's Edge says, three levels of brass and wind bands, jazz band, and a rock band. Oh, cool, yeah. Sadmax says, I'm busy with college right now and don't exactly have the energy to devote to it. Yeah, playing an instrument. Yep. Eric's Edge says bassoon. Yeah, you can't really march one of those either. Eric says, you could join any band you could pass the test get into. Yep. Sadmax says, now I'm just picturing someone trying to march with a keyboard/piano. I'm glad I could put that thought in your mind. Hopefully it'd be an upright piano that might be a little easier to march. I mean, those grand pianos can be quite difficult to get out into the middle of the road for parades and whatnot. Totally impressive, but yeah, marching with a grand piano is just a bit of a bear. Although, to the person that can push the grand piano and play it in marching band, props to you. And now I'm pretty sure at least one person in the chat is probably telling some AI model to generate a picture of a grand piano in a marching band. You're welcome for the idea. Okay. I do not have the sockets I need, I don't think. Eric says that'd be cool to see. Yeah. Oh, 2K Compliance says we marched the synthesizer and bass guitar for a few years, had a car battery powered amplifier on wheels. Yeah, that would be doable. Needless to say, an adult pushed the amplifier cart. It was rather large and heavy. Yeah. Okay, I apparently do not have the sockets I need to continue because update. I have one socket. It was beside me the whole time. You can poke fun at me for not seeing it in the comments because it was like right beside me. I have one 28 pin socket. All right, Justin, don't mess this up because there be no backups in the house. Yeah, I could have. Well, I don't really have what I need to make a socket. I don't. I used to like turned pins, but now I don't because it could be hard to get some chips in turned pins. So I'd rather use dual wipe sockets. Yes, this is. I'll put 28 pin sockets on my list of parts I need to order, and I'll order them when I can. I got like. We'll just say that I am. Going to have to order parts to repair computers for VCF East, and your coffee tips do help me do that. Because I don't have any like magic sponsors that are sending me to VCF East. It's pretty much will be whatever I get on coffee and Patreon. Although a lot of the standard contributions go towards like, well, go towards the computers I buy. But well, actually, the everything I get on Patreon at the moment goes to other creators. So I don't really like. I won't say how much I get on Patreon, although you could probably go look. And I won't say how much I give on Patreon, but at the moment, we'll just say that the amount I'm giving on Patreon is more than I'm receiving. Although I haven't added any new. Basically, I decided I'm going to hold the patrons I have at the levels I have them at. Of the people I'm supporting on Patreon, like unless they like stop creating content. I think the only one I added recently was someone that I thought had stopped creating content, so I dropped my Patreon, and then out of the blue, like not that long after I did it, they dropped the video, and then I realized why it had been so long since they created a video, and I felt really bad, and I re-added it as soon as I could because I felt really bad about it. Other than that, I've pretty much decided to. Oh, hey, Kibbs, welcome. I saw you dropped in. Yeah, yes. Yeah, pretty much though. I'm holding steady who I support on Patreon, so I haven't. I don't think I've increased anything. I don't. Well, I may have made a few small tweaks, but pretty much I decided to hold steady. Unless the creator, like, stopped creating content. Until I realized that I made a mistake somewhere. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I had 2 creators that I thought had dropped off the face of the earth, so. But yeah, I, they're pretty much. I probably spend more on the channel that I make on it. That's probably for sure. Your coffee tips do help me buy parts and computers. And will help me go to VCF East, that's for sure. So, I think the way it'll. I've got a special goal I'm going to set for my birthday stream next week. And then my March goal will basically be some number for VCF East. Because probably my birthday goal will be to, well, probably end up going towards parts or something. Or potentially tires for my car. Yeah, we probably do all spend more than we make on streaming. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I kind of had wanted to try to get some stickers or something to take with me at VCF East, but I don't think the timing's going to work out on that. Basically, my priorities are make sure I can get there, make sure I can get enough computers in working order to take them there. And, well, stickers will be if I can manage it. Otherwise, I'll just print some more cards and take those. Although, if you're watching this and you'd like to sponsor my table at VCF East, then reach out to me. Might make the things a little more smooth. Because I know what computers I'd like to take to VCF East, and, well, at this rate, I might end up taking a music computer, because I'm pretty sure I have at least one in good working order. I probably will take a C64, although I know it probably wouldn't be the only one there. But, again, I've got it in working order. I would probably will take my Apple IIe because it's in working order. Although I do need to get the monitor. I do need to get its monitor working. So I will probably work on the monitor on it, like not on one of my live streams, because I just need to focus on that. But I'll try to at least record footage to eventually do a video on it. I may also work on that monitor on Dave's stream. VCF East is April 12th through 14th. Yeah, I think my talking 286 will make it because it's in working order. So yeah, I'll take the Emerson 500 EC. Um, I'll probably take my LC that I did a Epic Egret bodge on because, well, I can take it to show off the bodge. Although I've got an LC monitor, I'd need to see if I can get it to work correctly too. That would make it. If I can get that to work, it'll be more likely I'll take an LC with me. I'd like to load the LC up with Kid Pix because I know one of the themes of VCF East is computer art. So I'd kind of like to load the LC up with Kid Pix or something cool like that, like a program that schools would have had on their LC for computer art. Computers I would like to take, but are probably not going to be working in time. I was thinking of taking the Apple II GS, but I don't think I'm going to get it working reliably in time. It's got a... There's a problem with its ADB chip, so it powers up with a 911 error. I can always count on Apple to give such dramatic errors for, yeah, your keyboard doesn't work, dude. And I'm not putting a light bulb in my 2GS. I have read the articles of how people fixed that back in the day. I'm not putting a light bulb in my 2GS. Sorry. That just seems wrong. I was thinking of taking the K-Pro, but I'm I'm probably not going to be able to get the last few bits I need to actually put it back together in time. Because I don't remember seeing a K-Pro there last year. Although, then again, granted, it'd be my luck I'd take the K-Pro and there'll be like 20 of them there this year. I'm not taking Bertha. I don't feel like throwing my back out. Sorry, Jeremy. um, what else was I wanting to take, but it's probably not going to be working in time. There was something else I was probably not going to have. Oh yeah, I was going to take my first computer rebuild, but I don't think I'm going to have it in a state to take. Oh, that's right. I want to take the. Oh, Bertha's my. I've got a 8 processor, like 6-unit server that Jeremy gave me. It's a compact rack mount server. It has 8 Pentium 3 Xeons in it. Jeremy's wife gave it the nickname of Bertha because of how big it is. Yeah, I was trying to think. There was another computer I kind of wanted to take, but I doubt I'll have it fixed in time. Because I got like several computers I need to recap before I could take them, because they're not like reliable enough without it. Yeah, basically a brick. Yeah, Bertha's like a brick. Probably. Oh, actually, that is true. I was about to say, it'd help if I'd created a list of the computers I wanted to take to... Oh, maybe I didn't create a list of... No, of course I didn't create a list. That would have been too easy to have created a list. I mean, seriously, why create a list when you can not create a list and try to remember what you were thinking? Although that's weird. I sure thought I started to create a list of the computers I wanted to take. Well, it's always possible I did start to create a list somewhere, and it's in one of the text editors, and it's saved as a temporary document somewhere. I sure thought I did start a list. Oh, yeah, one of the other computers I wanted to take was, like, one of my, original compact Macs. But, the one that's closest to working condition is also the furthest away from easily transportable. Because unlike Bertha, that's like a brick in how heavy the system is, the Mac Plus that I have that is in good working order, it looks like UPS threw a brick at it. um, So basically, the problem is I either need to get parts to try to fix the analog boards for one of the other ones. I don't really want to swap parts because that that analog board seems to work very well with that tube and logic board that's in that one plus. So I kind of like to keep them together. Maybe I'm superstitious. Maybe there actually is something to be said. Alright, I have a 27C256 here. Were they shipped together? No. No, the problem is that the Mac Plus was shipped in... So basically, the Mercari seller that I bought the Mac Plus from, they took the Mac Plus, they put it in its carrying bag, and they put like one piece of bubble wrap in the box with the Mac Plus in the carrying bag, and slapped the shipping label on the box and tendered it to UPS, and yeah. And then UPS did what they did, and that's handled the package very roughly. Okay. Alright, so I've put the socket on the board. I decided to just solder the socket like normal. I'm going to put the bodge wire on the EEPROM, because I think that'll be easier. I'm trying to find a way to route the wire. That I don't really want to have to grind into the fiberglass PCB. But I totally will if that's really the only place I can route the wire without making it like stupid long. Because unfortunately, I can't use these screw holes because screws go into them, and the screw goes through there. I could use this area, but that would make the wire just crazy long. So I guess maybe that's why the person that I'm copying for the mod notched the board, is because I think that's about the only way to get a wire from the bottom side to the top side. Because if the pin I needed to solder to was on this side of the connector, I would just tack a wire onto the socket here, but it's on the other side. Unfortunately, I do see the place where the wire needs to go is a no connect on the board, so yeah, it's definitely a no connect, so it's not like I can tap off of it on another spot on the board. So I guess maybe I am going to have to... I'm either going to have to use a very thin wire, like enameled wire, which I guess... You know, maybe I can use enameled wire for the test, and... Yeah, okay, I'll just use enameled wire for the test, and I'll make sure I insulate it. And I'll also make sure that I lose screws on the workbench, because it's always easier to put things back together when you lose the screws that hold the thing together. Yeah. Alright. Let me see if I can find my enameled wire. It likes to... Oh. I was about to say it likes to run away, but I think I did actually put it away, because... Oh, there it is. Alright, I'll use enameled wire. I'll just very carefully do it. Alright, let me get back to where I can see the chat. Yeah, basically no packaging. Okay, so I got an EEPROM here in my programmer. I am going to go to YouTube. Because I need to make sure I get the correct ROM. And I did find a YouTube video that was explaining how to do the conversion. And they have a Google Drive where they put the ROM image on. So I'm going to go download that. There we go. I have that image. Watching YouTube on YouTube. I'm a... Oh, I guess for posterity... Let me put the link in my chat to that video. There we go. All right. So let me see here. I need a 27C256. This is an AMD part that I have. Load the ROM I just downloaded from the link in that video. Alright, it looks like I have the... Yep, that does look like the correct thing, so let me do a blank check first. Oh. AM27C256. AM27C256. Alright, well... Alright. Device, program. Okay, well, this EEPROM is bad. Wah, 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 wah. It will not program. I did successfully erase it, but it will not program. Alright, well, that's why I have a bad chip bag. Someday I'll actually upgrade to a bad chip box. Alright, let me see if I've got another 27C256 that's already erased. It's a 128. That's definitely not it. 010s, 010s. 64. Here we go. I have a National Instruments, or a National Semiconductor NMC 27C256Q. Alright. Let's give that one a whirl. National Semiconductor NM27C256Q. Load. Alright. Alright, there may be a few EEPROMs in my eraser that I just have failed to unload. So, if this EEPROM is bad... Well... Alright, hold please. I'm having trouble getting the pins to line up with the socket. Or the programmer. Oh, these are EEPROMs. I definitely don't have any 27256s in EEPROM format. Yes, I have a UV chip eraser. Yes, you can actually still get bulbs for some of them. And it's not like one of those AliExpress ones. It's like an actual EEPROM eraser. I mean, it's total legit EEPROM eraser. Uh-oh. Pin 28, bad pin. Oh, that's not good. Pin 28, bad pin. Maybe... Alright. Oh. Okay, let me try that again. Alright. Okay, first let me make sure I actually read the part number correct. This is an NMC 27C 256Q. Okay. I did pick the right part number. Alright, blank check. Blank. Bad pins found. Alright. Well, I'm getting, yeah, I'm getting a bad pin on this one, so... Okay, well, that's what I get for, buying a lot of EPROMs to salvage. Alright, let me check what's in my eraser. Otherwise, I may be switching to label removal mode so I can really quickly erase the EEPROM. Because unfortunately, I don't think I have any EEPROMs anywhere close to the right type for tonight's activity. Oh, good. Here we go. All right. At least past me did do something smart. Or at least I attempted to do something smart. Well, jury's still out on that. Gutbomb says, check those ones I sent you. I'll check them, but they're not erased yet. I've got like a whole box of chips I need to like erase. Here's one that should be erased. It is a Texas Instruments TI 27C256 DIP 28. All right. Oh, Gutbomb says most of them were already erased. Okay, well I will I will. Yes, Jeremy, I see that you are pointing up. I cannot go try to find more chips and look at the chat at the same time. But yeah, I see. Gutbomb says most of them were already erased, so I will go find them next. The thing is, though, what I usually do when I get EPROMs, I don't blank check them unless someone says, like right now, that, oh yeah, most of them were blank. I usually just go straight to erasing them. So now that I see that Gutbomb says most of them were already erased, I'll probably end up blank checking a bunch of them. Okay, well, this one here is blank. And it's programming. Gutbomb did blank checks on the ones that appear to be blank. Okay, cool. I'll keep that in mind, and I'll separate out the ones you sent me. They should be like, they'll be obvious to me which ones you sent me, and I will blank check them before I just brute force erase them. The problem is, though, a bunch of these chips that like these that were in my eraser actually came from Jamco in a lot of like EPROMs that were pulled out of devices, and they still had the labels on them. And in that case, if I get an EPROM that has a label on it over the window, those I don't blank check, because that would be pretty silly for... I mean, it's not totally impossible that some company somewhere didn't like do something silly on a device and nobody caught it for 30 or 40 years, but generally those the EPROM is programmed if there's still a label on it. But yeah, I do now remember Gutbomb did send me EPROMs that may have not had a label on them. So yeah. Yeah, Gutbomb says, yeah, about half of the ones I sent had labels and those had something on them. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I always do a blank check. Because, yeah, all Fs. Okay, the reason why the, blank EPROM has all Fs is because the way these ROMs work is they pull the bus down for a 0. So the reason why a blank EPROM is all Fs has to do with the way they work to pull the bus down. So if you put a blank EEPROM in on a bus, it's not going to try to pull the bus down. All right. So I now have an EEPROM. It is programmed. I have confirmed it. So I am going to lift pin 27 up because I need to connect the bodge wire to it. Gibbs says, I used the sun to clean an EEPROM once, and my friend said half of it was empty. Yes, depending on where you are in the world, you can actually be at a latitude that gets enough UV in the sunlight that putting an EEPROM in the sun will erase it. But there are also latitudes in the world where, yeah. Now, if Gutbomb did it in where he is, it would probably take weeks to do it. However, if you were somewhere closer to the equator, like, say, Miami, and I know this because Javier, I think, has done it, you can put an EEPROM outside and it's a much shorter time to erase it. Because I guess you get more UV in that part of the world. I guess the closer you get to the equator. So yes, if you saw Adrian's digital basement where he did a test in the Portland area where he tried to erase an EEPROM in the sun, yeah, he had trouble but that area of the country doesn't get enough UV to affect it in a short amount of time. Now, I'm sure if he left it out for a year, I suspect there'd be a good chance it would be blank at that point. Because, yeah, it could take weeks or more. But in Miami, though, they get more UV, so it wouldn't necessarily take as long. And I also assume there could be differences in EEPROMs too, that maybe some are more. Yeah, Kib says the closer to 90 degrees, the more UV. Yeah, and there could also be something in play of which EEPROM you're using and how susceptible it is, or it's the amount of UV it takes to erase it. But yeah, if Gutbomb or Adrian put them outside, yeah, it's going to take a while. It'd probably take me a while too, because Virginia's still not quite far enough south. Although it would probably take, if Gutbomb and I did an experiment where we both put an identical EEPROM out on our deck, it would probably be less time for me than him, but it would still be a while. Yeah, Ian says, I've erased an EEPROM in about a month here in Colorado. Lots of UV here at altitude. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yep, in Colorado, higher altitude, you've got less air to isolate you from the UV. I'm presuming I'm describing that correct. So yeah, less time to erase in Colorado. All right. I'm just going to use this bell wire. It should be thick enough for an address line. However, I'm not going to do it too permanently because if this works, I may come back later and put like a slightly sturdier wire just so that I'm not concerned about how fragile it is. Also, because I know someone's going to say something. If I don't, I'm going to put some Captain tape over the window because I'm fairly sure that Captain tape is going to help with UV. that didn't tear as neatly as I'd hoped. Oh well. Whatever. Moving along. All right. Well, fine. Okay, there we go. Oops, I didn't like. All right, and my bodge is still safe. All right. Yeah, it's the Captain tape. Basically I bought the like. I was like, well, what do I buy? I use it for like shielding when I'm using hot air for rework, and I decided that I'm just going to buy the one roll, and I bought the roll of the 2-inch tape because I'm like, this will be good for about anything I need to do with it. All right, so I'm going to put a little piece of tape here on the edge of the board. Actually, let me do this because this enameled wire is the enamel is insulation, and it's not like there's a trace here to short against. But I don't want the wire to, in case there is a nick in the insulation, I kind of want to use a little bit of tape to guide it around. And I'll find something to like put a hole for the screw to go back through. And so this needs to come around to this pin here. So I'm going to there we go. Let me use a little dab of flux. Help with the process. So I'm going to apply some heat, and that should melt the all right. I can definitely smell that it just melted the enamel off. There we go. All right, there we go. I think I have a successful mod. And now to make sure, let me do a continuity test. Here. So I should have continuity between this pin here and here. And I do not. Okay, maybe I didn't actually burn the enamel off. All right. No, I got a good connection. All right. So there we go. Here's my connection between the pin here and A14 there. All right. So let me do just a quick clean of the board. Right. I'm going to spray some contact cleaner in here. Go. All right. And I do want to take something pointy and stick it through here to make it easier to put the screw in. There we go. All right. So now, there we go. I think I can put the cartridge back together and hopefully put this in a music computer and we'll see it work. Although in reality, if I can run the software that's on it, then that's going to be my assumption of a successful mod. I don't have a MIDI keyboard really handy to try it. All right. So let's put the cartridge back in. All right. Is kind of awkward to... Oh, there we go. You kind of got to lift up on the shield a little bit to be able to get the ports to start to line up. And then... There we go. There we go. That's back together. Got that back together, and I think once I start to put the screws in, the shield will start to line up. Or not. Hold on. Let me do it this way. All right. All right. So let me try it this way. Let me snap the shield on top of the board so that it lines up with the screw holes. And then I will drop that whole thing in to the plastic. Basically, you got to get the audio jacks around that standoff. And still keep the shield aligned with the screw holes. Hold on. Something's... Oh. Oh. There we go. That's what was wrong. I think I bent that capacitor down while working. Yeah, Tom's waiting in anticipation. That's what I did. I bent that one ceramic down. So you might want to watch out for that ceramic. If you have trouble putting it back together, you might have bent it because it's really close to everything. So let's see here. There we go. That looks better. So now... Alright. So now I think I should be able to get the screws in. Still doesn't quite feel like it's lined up, but wait. Hold on. These look like they're plastic screws, but do they actually go into metal standoffs? That would be weird. Nope, they're going into plastic. Alright. I think it's just a fiddly alignment, so. Because I'm trying to turn the screws backwards to line them up with the. I think it's just a fiddly alignment on the boards. Alright. There we go. I think that screw is. Oh. Alright, whatever. Alright. I think someone might have had this cartridge apart before, because. Oh, I may be cutting new grooves in the plastic, because I can't tell where the. I'm trying to turn the screws backwards to tell where the grooves are, and I can't tell where they are. Which might mean there's more than one groove. There we go. That one's. This might also mean maybe there were metal standoffs down in the plastic I couldn't see. There we go. Alright. Got the cartridge back together. The reason why I bothered putting the cartridge back together is to make sure everything lined up. Alright, so I am going to take this music computer here, the one that was apparently has a date on it that's Jeremy's birthday, and I'm picking it just because it's handy. Alright, so I'm going to put the cartridge in. And I am going to. I guess I am going to screw it in just because. I want to make sure it's. In case this is actually providing a ground or something, more so than just a retaining screw, I'm going to screw it in. Because it kind of looks like it might be. It may be providing the case ground for this module. I mean, it probably would be fine if I power this computer up without it, but let's be nice to my music computers. Okay. Jeremy says the date is after his birthday. All right. So, this music computer is about to feel the energy of 120 volts. Oh. And apparently Apparently the power switch was already on. Oh well. Okay. Power switch is now off. I also just realized that I can't. I need the cable to power that up. Okay. Hold please while I find the cable. Let's see. That's a Commodore cable. That is not the one I need. Let's see here. All right. Hold. One moment. I gotta find the MSX cable. I might have one in this bin here. Well, I have an RF modulator. Okay, I have an RF modulator for the music computer. So if all else fails, I'll plug in the RF modulator and we'll go that way. I have a cassette cable. Oh yeah, I have a bunch of cartridges in here. Ah yes, that's right. Right, okay. Yeah, we'll have to look into these at some point. Okay, I may have to use the RF modulator for a quick test. Unless I think the MSX, I'm pretty sure it does not use the Commodore pinout, but I believe the TI-99 4A might share a pinout. Which might be why I'm not sure where my cable went. It's probably with my TI-99. Now I feel bad because Tom Barber wants to see. All right, I guess. All right, I guess I'll let me just use the RF modulator. It's at least better than not being able to test it. Okay. Oh. Oh, good. Okay. It'll just plug right into my Tom Barber's apparently voting for smoke and fire. All right. So luckily the RF modulator just plugs into the video out, and luckily it just plugs into the TV. All right. So we set it for channel 3 TV or CPU. All right. Let me grab my TV of annoyingness. All right, let me just plug the RF modulator into it. Alright, let's turn the TV on. Let's turn the volume down. Alright, let me change the TV to... Alright, TV is on channel 3. Alright, powering on the MSX in 3, 2, 1. Up, there we go. Alright, well, we have a, the computer is powered up. Alright, so, to run the software that is in that ROM, we need to type call music. Oh, okay, first we need to hit the caps lock key, and then call music. Or is it just music? Alright. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to go look at the... There's the mod. Okay, so let me look at this YouTube video. And, alright, so I'm going to play it. And... Alright, let's see here. Call music. Sure enough. Okay, but not caps lock. Call music. Call music. Syntax error. Huh. Well, that's disappointing. It appears if the mod is not working. Alright, let's see here. Yeah, syntax error. Okay. Well, it is possible. In a while since we've had a good explosion. Yeah, it is possible that this music computer has a fault that is preventing the module from working. Or I've made a mistake somewhere with the mod. Or that's actually the wrong ROM image. Alright, let's let me try unplugging it. Let me try removing the cartridge, cleaning the edge contact on the music computer, and reinserting it. I won't screw it in, though. Alright, so let me remove the module. Make sure the computer is off for that. I have unplugged it. Alright, we will remove the module. I will spray some contact cleaner in the module again. Alright, I will spray some contact cleaner on the edge connector on the music computer side. I will insert and remove it a couple times. Alright. let me re-plug in the RF modulator. Assuming I can figure out where it fell to. Yes, of course. All the way onto the floor. For convenience. Alright. Let me plug the power back in. Turn it back on. Alright, I do have boot. There we go. We are on basic. Call music. Success. If at first you don't succeed, contact clean. All right, there you go. There's the music software. Haha. Sure enough, I got the music software running. There it is. Yeah. I just needed to put some contact cleaner on the edge of the MSX computer. So there we go. I have successfully converted an SFG01 to an SFG05, which now means this music computer can use a standard MIDI keyboard instead of one of the proprietary doodads. But I'm still going to so totally sell Tom Barber on the proprietary keyboard doodad because it's cool having the complete system. Jeremy, there is no RGB. Well, there's no RGB mod for this computer. The TMS 9918 video chip does not output RGB signals. So there's no way to RGB mod the chip, at least in the conventional sense of an RGB mod. There is a project that was supposed to be an HDMI output for the TMS 9918, but part shortages kind of put the kibosh on it, and I have no idea what its current status is. I do know there is that LumaCode thingy that for composite. Jeremy, I don't need to composite mod it. The only reason I'm using the RF modulator is because I can't find my composite cable. The output on the music computer is composite audio. It's like left channel audio, composite left channel audio, and 5 volts. I just can't find my cable. It's somewhere in the house. That's the only reason I was using the RF modulator, is because I can't find the composite cable. So I don't need to composite mod it. It has composite output. I just can't find my cable. I think it's because my TI-99 4A uses the same cable, so I had the cable out for that. And I probably put it somewhere where I just don't remember where I put it. But yeah, I've got a composite cable for it. It just is I don't know where I put it. So Tom, if you're looking for a composite cable and you just want one that's ready made, 8-Bit Classics sells them. Yes, Jeremy, the TMS 9918 should sound familiar. That's what's in the TI-99 4A, the TI-99, the Naboo, I believe. All MSX1 computers are going to have that, unless they're PAL, then they'll have the TMS 9928. Which, fun fact, I think the 9928 actually does have RGB output, because that's the way it would generate the signals for SCART. Yeah. Yeah, no fair. The PAL country's got RGB capability. And I think there's a couple other computers that might use that chip too. Yeah, definitely, it sounds familiar because it is. There's a lot of computers that used it. That video chip got an awful lot of lifetime, despite the fact that by the time you got to MSX, I think it was a dated chip. But anyways, yeah. So, I have a music computer. I've got more than one. This one appears to be in working order. It just didn't have a music module in it. Although it is possible the reason why this one didn't have a music module is it might actually have been one of the ones that I bought that came with this, and I may have removed it at some point to show off what was in a music computer. So actually, while I'm thinking of it, I'm going to go ahead and put this sound module back together because there's no reason why this module needs to be apart. I think I took it apart just because I was showing off at some point what was in the module. You know, I think Yamaha may have made some slight improvements in this version because the shield lined up way easier. I'm kind of wondering if maybe they made an adjustment because it was hard to put together at the factory. Alright. Yes, I'm going to put the cartridge back together here because there should be nothing wrong with this cartridge. I'm pretty sure it's was just disassembled for show and tell for some reason. And there's no reason for it to stay apart. Don't worry if anyone's wondering about the parts CX5M that I have that's disassembled and I borrowed a video chip from it. It was the I bought it and it's had I forget. So I had bought some part off of it from the eBay seller. I forget because they'd kind of parted it out and were selling parts of it. And I don't remember what I initially bought. It might have been the keyboard or something like that. But anyways, I had seen they had listed some part and it was at a reasonable price, so I bought it. And they then asked me, well, if I listed like the rest of the parts, the power supply failed. I think they said that I forget why they said it failed. But anyways, they were like, I'll sell you the rest of the parts real cheap. So the reason I have that CX5M that's basically parts is because I bought them cheap as parts. It definitely didn't work. I'm pretty sure I did try powering it up with something to confirm that it was dead, and at least the power supply was dead. But anyways, so I do have its keyboard. Oh, no, that's right. I think I did buy the keyboard from it because I think I knew I had at least one of these that had a bad keyboard, and you pretty much can't take them apart because they're not designed to take apart and put back together. All right, at least my SFG05 is put back together now, so I don't lose the I don't lose it. Might have already lost the screw that holds it in, but at least I won't lose the module. The screw's probably on my workbench somewhere, assuming it's not in this pile of parts. Anyways, yeah. Oh, I think the other thing is I think I also bought a printer from them because I think that seller had the printer that Yamaha sold for these. So I actually do have the printer. I believe I did eventually find the cable for the printer because, as you might have seen, it's that really short Centronics connector. So I have the Yamaha printer. I have the cable. You can actually still get ribbons for the printer. Or at least when I ordered one a year or two ago, I was able to order a printer ribbon. Brand new printer ribbon because it's like a common mech. So Someday I'll set one of these up, and I don't know what we'll print, but maybe we'll print some sheet music out. But anyways, let's see here. Yeah, Jeremy's saying the PAL regions got lucky. Yeah, and at least the MSX1 computers they did, because yeah, it's the 9918 doesn't do RGB, but the 28 does. Because that's the way Texas Instruments did PAL output. Is it the chip outputs RGB, and then I think it goes through a circuit that turns it into the PAL signal. It's not like, now when I say it's RGB from the 9928, I don't think it's like red, green, blue. I think it's actually like YUV or something like that. So it's not like a slam dunk to turn it into component video, but yeah, I mean, it is technically, it's better than composite. Now don't hold me to that. It's been a while since I looked at the datasheet. But yeah, the 9928 does output 50 hertz refresh. The 9928 also does not contain the clock generator that the 9918 does. So there is a difference between the PAL and the NTSC MSX computers, because the NTSC ones are using the 9918 for clock generation, but obviously the PAL ones are going to have some sort of an external clock generator, or most likely. Jeremy says, talk about going whole hog on a computer setup. Yeah, I had this big vision of grandeur on these systems. I was at some point thinking that, oh, I'm going to like connect a couple of these together and have like even more voices and use the 16 MIDI channels to play them on. I'm like, that's just silly. I'll set one up. Maybe I'll set. I've got enough so that I can have one that has an SFG01 module in it. And I've got one that's got an SFG05 module in it, and I have like a spare in case I've got failures. And then I think the ones I have after that are pretty much like incomplete. They're either not the whole things, that I don't have a sound module for them, or they're broken, like the keyboard's broken. Because unfortunately, these keyboards are like the absolute cheapest keyboard ever. So I think I've got one. I know I've got one that I pulled out that actually I'll show you. The keyboard is pretty much toast. There's probably no repairing it. Because it's a membrane keyboard. They are like incredibly difficult to disassemble. But yeah, it's like the it's broken up. This one's missing the key, but at least it still has the plunger here. But yeah, it's like broken off there. I don't have that part. It was gone when I bought it. Although the thing is, this one's also has someone's address on it. I don't know what it is about musicians and their computers, but apparently at least two of these that I've bought, someone put their address on the bottom. So this one's serial number 3959. Anyways, yeah, I don't have this one didn't come with, either it didn't come with the module or I pulled it to put in another computer. But anyway, yeah, this keyboard's like, it's toast. No, it's not foam and foil. It's like a membrane that was, it's a membrane between two pieces of metal that are clipped together in such a way that you're probably going to break it pulling it apart. Good luck putting it back together to ever use again. I may take one of these broken keyboards and disassemble it to practice, but that's kind of one reason why I bought a couple, is just because the keyboards are garbage. I would almost be tempted to send one of the keyboards to Jeremy. They're that bad. But the way the keyboard's made, it could definitely pose a challenge for trying to actually make a keyboard to replace it. Because the keyboard is like, I think the keyboard is actually part of this plastic piece. Yeah, I think they made them to cut them down to a cost, and they definitely were not designed with repairability in mind. I'll put it that way. Maybe someday I might, well, Jeremy says he'll take it on, as long as it works. I don't know if I have a working keyboard to spare, Jeremy. I might have a keyboard that... I might be able to send you that keyboard that's missing those two keys. As I'll test it to see if it works, because at least if you can press the key, even though it's missing, I could spare one like that to send you to start the process, and then if you get far enough, then maybe I can actually loan you for a shorter term a more complete working keyboard. But I'll see if I got one of these that I could at least works enough to start you on it. Now, yeah, never ending the working one. Yeah, I'll see if I can't find one that, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's worse than Foam and Fool, Kibbs, that's for sure. Oh, never mind the working one. All right, well, sometime we'll get you one of these keyboards. Now, the only other thing about these, Jeremy, is that all the MSX computers have different keyboards. So, unfortunately, while I think they all have a common key layout, it's not like the keyboard's the same. So that's like the only drawback is, even if you made a replacement keyboard for one of these, it's not going to drop into another MSX computer. That is like the only... Gibb says auto mess up, and Jeremy's fighting with autocorrect. But now there is one thing, and let me see how... Oh, I've got stuff sitting on top of it. I really probably shouldn't have stuff sitting on top of it, but I do. Because I'm silly. We'll pull it out some other time. I actually do have a CX5M2 that I got from Canada. That it has, I think, 128K of RAM, but it's still an MSX1 computer. So, yeah, I was completely silly there. And it actually has a broken key. The stem is broken. I at least still have the key. I think it's the graph key, so it's like not a... It's a bummer that the key is broken, but it's probably broken in a way that might be repairable. There's only one working Yamaha computer. No, I have, because I'd probably have to really get you the whole computer, because you're going to need to see the board side. I don't know how many I have that are in working condition. I have one that's working. I think I should have at least two. Well, I have a second that was working last time I powered it up. I'll put it that way. Of course, that was like a couple years ago. It actually, when I bought it, it actually had bad RAM, so it's yeah, yeah, okay. I'll have to find one that I can loan you, Jeremy, that's like that yeah, I'll see what I've got to loan you to do a keyboard, Jeremy, and I probably will send it closer to the time when you can actually start working on it. But I got to go through all of them and see exactly what I have and what's working and what's not, to make sure I don't like to make sure that if I get to the point where I want to make the video on this, I still have enough working ones on hand to do it. But also I guess let me go pull it off the shelf real quick. I guess the other unfortunate thing is so we've got the CX5M, but then Yamaha came out with a second version, and don't worry, I have a couple things sitting on it, but they're just light items. They're all processors on. See if I can carefully move these processors somewhere else without like dropping them and bending pins. Oh, there we go. The LC lid will. Okay, there we go. So I guess as a spoiler, because I did say I do have a CX5M2 128, and as you can see, it of course doesn't use the same keyboard, because there are actually a few more keys, and I think the keyboard is actually no, the function keys are a bit larger. Oh, actually, maybe other than the larger keys, maybe the keyboard's the same. Unfortunately, there's the graph key that at least the I think I need to make and glue a new stem onto it. You know, this keyboard may actually be a better keyboard. But anyways, yeah. So what's the same about the CX5M2? All right, I believe this is an SFG05 in there, even though it doesn't have the same label. But I believe if we compare part numbers, I think it's got a well, it should be an SFG05 because. But so I guess if you've got an SFG05 that actually shipped from Yamaha, it may have a different label, but I'm not gonna pull it out tonight to show it. But so it still has the music module. It has a mini cartridge slot in the front. So there's the FM voicing program 2 that shipped with it. It's actually in like a mini cartridge on the front. So if you ever find one of these, hopefully someone did not actually remove it, because I think the only way to get that program is basically to get one that's in a CX5M2. This, I know it's upside down, but I can't really turn it right side up. This is a C. So this one's actually from Canada, hence the blue CSA sticker on the bottom instead of a UL. It still has the 2 joysticks. It still has the funky printer port and cassette port, but it actually does have RGB on it. So I need to get an RGB cable for it. Plus, also, it's got a composite and audio and RF. The RF modulator is built in. It's also got a color black and white switch. Oh, hi, Retro Mac. Welcome. I was almost about to wrap the stream up. And it's got 2 cartridge slots. Yeah, my electrons are falling out. So someday we'll explore this. Because this was like the almost the end of the line for the CX5M. or for the Yamaha music computers that ran on the MSX platform. There was a CX7M, I believe. I believe there was a CX7M. However, I do not believe it was available in North America. I believe at that point, MSX was pretty much done for in North America because the US and Canada were probably pretty strongly on Team PC and Team Macintosh at that point. And MSX kind of fell by the wayside. So I don't think the CX7M was ever released in North America, but I believe it did exist in some of the other countries where MSX was released. I think it was probably released in Japan, because MSX did stick around a little longer in Japan. It was a Japanese computer standard, so it lived a little longer there. And it might have been released in like Brazil or somewhere like that, because I know MSX was big down in South America. But yeah, MSX didn't do well in North America other than the Yamaha music computers, because they could be used to program like the DX7 and DX9 and some of Yamaha's other keyboards and I guess synthesizers. So that's why you can still occasionally find a CX5M on eBay. I would say though, if they're asking for more than $100, they're probably asking for too much. Unless it like has a bunch of cartridges with it, then that's possible that it might actually be a decent price. I don't think these are rare enough to command much more than about $100 in the US. I see them show up often enough, and the fact that unless it's like, okay, if they show it as tested working and actually have a video of them typing on the keyboard so you know the keyboard works, and they properly package it, it might be worth a bit more. But I would say that if it's more than $100 and they're only claiming they tested it because they turned it on and there was a red light here, yeah, more than $100 is probably too much. Just because you don't know if the keyboard's in good shape. Unless they take a good picture of the bottom, you're not going to know which of the two music carts is in it. So I would say $100 tops. Ideally, maybe closer to 80. I think most of the ones I bought, I did get them for, of the CX5Ms, I think my target price was about $80 for them. That was a couple years ago, which is why I'm saying maybe $100. I at least account for inflation. Now, the CX5M2, I don't remember what I paid for that. It was probably closer to like $300. Those, though, I don't see those show up very often, especially not north, like NTSC ones. Yeah, Kib says the CPU may even be dead, just has power. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, granted, it's a Z80 processor, so repairability is decent as long as it's not one of the custom logic chips. Repairability is actually decent, although unfortunately they're all going to be soldered, so none of the chips were socketed, from what I can tell, because they were for low cost, make them as cheap as possible. But yeah, yeah. Yeah. Martin says the only Yamaha we had back in the UK was a form of motorbike back then. Lol, certainly not a computer. Yeah, yeah. So the thing is about MSX, to kind of wrap the stream up. So MSX pretty much tanked in North America. Yamaha had some success because these could be used to program their synths and keyboards. So they did have some staying power. I've seen news articles and reports of like some famous artists actually using these to program their synths to then do their concerts, so they could have custom FM sounds on their keyboards. So Yamaha had some success. I don't know what their sales numbers were in North America, but there was at least enough that you'll find them show up on eBay. In Canada, I guess they still had some success. They probably had some limited success in Europe too, again, because they could be used to program their synths and keyboards. MSX, though, as a whole, also really tanked in Europe. Might have done even. Actually, I don't know if it did worse in the US or in Europe. Because I think more companies tried to release MSX computers in Europe. In, like, the US at least, it was Spectra Video, and Yamaha. I think in Europe there might have been a few more companies. It did well in Japan. It might have done reasonably well in the Middle East. I think it did exceptionally well in Brazil. It probably did exceptionally well in Japan too, because it was a Japanese standard. So it's like Brazil and some other South American countries it did really well in. That might have been because of the cost and less competition from like PCs and Macs because of their higher cost. Japan, it was a Japanese standard. Yes, I believe for the MSX there were Japanese keyboards. I've got a Japanese MSX computer. It's got a Japanese keyboard. I think for the Middle East, I think there may have been an Arabic keyboard. I am not sure though about French. If there was like a French specific keyboard, I'm not sure about that. I do know though, if you're looking at MSX computers, if you find any cartridges or ROMs, if it's a Japanese cartridge, it needs to be a Japanese machine because it will need to have the kanji ROMs. And if it's a Middle Eastern cartridge, it'll need to be one of the Arabic units because it's going to need the Arabic ROM in it. The US unit doesn't have a special character ROM, so it can only play the US games. But anyways. Martin says, could you imagine booming out MIDI driving on the highway? Yeah. Oh, because Gibbs asked, can your motorbike play music or MIDI? Anyways, yeah. So that's the Yamaha CX5M music computer. I successfully modified one of my SFG01s, so it now can be an SFG05 equivalent. Hopefully Tom will take that inspiration on Dave's stream to maybe modify his SFG01 to an SFG05. And Tom and I will both have some fun with these because these are neat little computers. Now, the thing you don't see down here is I actually have a stack of boxed software for the music computer. Because I guess, like, some people have their collections. And the one thing, I don't usually buy boxed software, but I did buy a bunch of software in boxes for the music computer. Some of them aren't great boxes, but they are boxes, and it's kind of neat. I have some of the peripherals. I've got the printer, I got mouse, I've got the proprietary keyboard. So yeah, there definitely will be explorations of this computer on my channel. I do apologize for anyone that's watching this live stream that's realized I've talked about this computer and they're like, Justin, where's the music computer been? Well, I finally had inspiration, thanks to Tom saying he had one, to finally pull the thing out to start giving it its proper due. Oh, hi, Chris. Welcome. You know, the computer on my bench can run DOS. Microsoft DOS. But it's MSX. Microsoft MSX DOS. But anyways, yeah, Chris, I was wrapping the stream up because I got to go to work tomorrow. I actually have to go into the building. I can't, like, yeah, so I need to be mostly functional. But anyways, yeah, I got the mod done, got the computer up and running. Can't find the composite cable, so I had to plug a keyboard in. Luckily, I had the RF modulator for this computer because I had to use that to test it. But yeah, Got it modded, so hopefully Tom Barber will be able to modify his. Yeah. Oh, Chris has been working most of the day. Ugh. Yeah, well, I did, yeah. So anyways, stay tuned. There will be more music computer content on the channel. These are neat computers. I know MSX doesn't get all the love of some other platforms, and I think it's possibly because it's misunderstood. Possibly just because it was like, it didn't really, I mean, granted, Yamaha did well enough that it stayed on the market for several years in the US and Canada. Spectra Video, I think, pretty much was on and off the market in 1984 with their MSX computer in the US. I think they had more success in other countries. In the US, I think they were on and off the market in 1984. I don't know how many years Yamaha sold theirs. It was, I think, a couple years at least. I mean, it did manage a couple successor models. But those were the only two MSX computers in the US and Canada, so I think they don't really get the attention and love. Even though, in some respects, there were some great games for the platform. With the Yamaha music cartridge, it can make great music because it's got that nice FM synth. Granted, I know the Commodore 64, its SID chip is probably going to run circles around the MSX default sound chip. Because I think the default sound chip in MSX is closer to, I think it's something like I want to say the General Instruments AY3 or something like that. I could be wrong, though. It's not an FM synth that's the MSX standard sound chip, but the music computer has the FM synth because it's a music computer. So, yeah, it is a neat platform. There were some great games for it. It, I think, is maybe kind of misunderstood. And I think the thing is, potentially because it didn't do well in the US, I don't see as much MSX content, at least from US content creators. I mean, I know it's out there. I've searched for MSX. I do see it. But I think it's kind of one of those platforms. It didn't get a lot of traction in the US, but there's a lot of neat things on the platform. And the thing is, the platform started some famous franchises like, and I lost the name. Metal Gear. Yeah, yeah, I think the like Metal Gear Solid series, if that's the one I'm thinking of, got its start on MSX. I mean, yeah, it later went to the PlayStation and other platforms. I think it got its start on MSX. I think there were a few other games. They got their start on MSX and then launched other platforms. So I think ignoring platforms like the MSX is kind of does the retro community a disservice because there are a lot of games that got their start on the MSX. And I'm sure there are people out there that they got their love of music from the Yamaha music computer. So, and quite honestly, there's something about FM synth sound. To which I have to say, I saw DOS Storm's video he released yesterday because it's now past midnight, so I have to say yesterday. Unless, of course, you're in the West Coast, then it would still be today. Where he reviewed the McFly module from Serta Shop. Yeah, that's an interesting FM synth board. I want one so bad now. I'll probably end up ordering one just because it's quite a quirky module. It definitely has its quirks and features, and we may have to give it a Doug score. Just do not play Doom or Duke Nukem on it because that sounded so wrong. You might go check out DOS Storm's video. Anyways, all right. It's getting late. I should really wrap the stream up. I'd like to thank you all for joining me for this adventure make sure you smash that like button to let the YouTube algorithm know that even the quirky, not as well selling platforms still have their place in retro computing community and being documented because there were cool things about them. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that when I do get other videos out about the music computer, that you'll be there to see them. And I hope to see you next time. Do note that I am not streaming next Tuesday. I'm taking the night off to go out to dinner with some coworkers. I'm being social, yes. But I will be streaming twice on Thursday. So I think you'll probably note that I think in some places I only put the first link. But anyways, I'll post the second link after the first stream ends. I didn't want to confuse anyone with the wrong link. But anyways, 2 streams on next Thursday, none on Tuesday. And for March and the first couple weeks of April, I am going down to 1 stream a week so that I have a little extra time to prepare for VCF East. So in March in March, I'll be streaming on Thursdays only, at least planned streams. Not to say that if I realize I've got something that I need to work on for VCF East, and it's something I can work on a stream, I may do a spur-of-the-moment stream. But in terms of planned streams, I'm only streaming on Thursdays in March, and they will be Marcintosh streams. That's why the Quadra 700 got bumped again, because it's now a Marcintosh stream. And in April, I think for the first week in April, I'm streaming on Thursday. The second week in April, my planned stream is on Tuesday, because that Thursday I will be packing my car, because then that weekend is VCF East. And then I will go back to 2 streams a week, starting once I'm back from VCF East. I should be to the point where I can stream twice a week, because at least VCF East will be over by then. But yeah, as you can tell, I kind of need to go back to 1 stream a week just so I can have a little extra time to do things that I really can't stream or may not want the pressure of streaming. So anyways, I did make that decision. I'm going to 1 stream a week until VCF East. And then I'll go back to 2 streams a week. Anyways, I did post on Patreon and Ko-fi. It's a public post. If you want to actually see my streaming schedule for March and April, it's there on Ko-fi and Patreon. It's a public post. You don't need to be a member. Although, if you do want to go to Patreon and become a free member, then you'll get notifications when I make posts like that even, or when I announce videos. I generally announce the topic of live stream on Patreon and Ko-fi a couple days in advance. I usually, on social medias, I only do it day of to kind of keep it fresh. But you get a couple days notice on Ko-fi and Patreon. And you can follow me on those 2 platforms without being a paid member. And announcement messages are always public on those platforms if it's like a general announcement like, here's my streaming schedule, or here's what the stream's going to be. Now, granted, if you're a free member, you can't get the members-only posts, but at least you'll see what my streaming schedule is. You'll get a notification when I update it, because when I first schedule the stream, I'll usually update the streaming schedule post, and then I'll usually do a dedicated post for the stream. So anyways, just kind of so you know, there are benefits to being a free member on Patreon, because it will actually send you a notification when I do the free posts. And then you'll know, oh, hey, Justin posted a streaming schedule. That's when he's streaming. Cool. So anyways, yeah. But yeah, so my streaming schedule's out there. So stay tuned for next week's dual streams on Thursday. And with that, it is definitely late enough. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being cool in the chat. Thanks for helping me to have fun on streams like this. And even just the support you give in the chat and the likes and comments and all the engagement, even if it is to criticize me for making the mod of this module. Thanks for being awesome. So take care, have a great rest of your day, and God bless. Computer Ask Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care.